season.
What would happen to
Amazing.
you three if the pod just blew up and became the most watched Arsenal podcast?
We'd fight.
Yeah, we would. And I'd win the fight. I would win the fight. Alex, don't look at me like that.
Who do you reckon would win in a fight out of us three?
Have you seen the guns, mate? I would win the fight.
Fight? You got old man.
George, how tall are you?
You got old man. I'm not tall. Not tall at all. I'm like 5'9".
Yeah, same.
I'm like...
You're not 5'9", so I'm the tallest here, so technically...
No, but with Air Forces...
I am like 200, 185.
But with Air Forces, you're what, 4'7"? 4'8"?
4'7"? 6'7" more like.
There's some shots. We're going to have to see this. This is what the patrons want to see.
I would win the fight. Lionel Messi, Floyd Mayweather. That's me.
I can't believe I'm the tallest here at 5'11". No. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, but with Air Forces,
you're embarrassing.
You're not. Anyways, guys.
On the floor, guys.
These standards. Oh yeah, Bhavs, how's your water eye, mate?
Is it watering anymore, lad? No more water. Tears in my eyes have disappeared. Because your boy is back on the Cannon podcast. Welcome back, guys. Lads, we have a lot to discuss. But first things first, how are we doing? Does anyone have any watery eyes?
No watery eyes today, mate. We were really worried about you. Really, really worried.
Yeah, it was a devastating time. I was just sat there going, my eyes just watering.
Yeah.
I can't survive. But
you just couldn't hack it. You've done 15 minutes of the instant reaction, and to be fair to you, it's taxing. So,
Listen, what happened after interaction, I won't tell you what happened, because I don't remember half the stuff happened, right? It just happened, right? Anyways, we'll talk about something that has happened, and that is breaking news in the Arsenal fan base. The return of Jurriën Timber. Now, I will say, there were some sources that claimed that he returned to full training at the end of February, and people thought it wasn't happening. He's back.
George called it as well. George called it. If you go back to whenever it happened, August, September, George was saying February.
Cannon exclusive.
Yeah, the Cannon exclusive. It felt too good to be true to me. I was like, nah, just people just saying it to get excited.
George said that but he went, it's an exclusive, but he meant it slightly seriously. He said it a couple of months ago. I was like, George, that's not an exclusive. You guessing when he'll be back.
Yeah.
That's not an exclusive.
Because it's weird, because even Arteta was kind of alluding to he might return at the end of the season. Now I think he's confirmed that he might be in a squad for Sheffield United.
Well, you know what it is, mate. It's I legitimately think it's a Euros content. You can't hide it. I think they fully well know that he's back. I said it back then. I'll say it now. What is going in his favor is it was just an ACL. For all of the hoopla around it, I think the recovery timeline, it's
just
not...
Just an
ACL? Well, I know. Just an ACL. Not that you need those.
Just an ACL.
But more in the sense that he didn't injure multiple structures. Like Jesus has injured his meniscus as well, with his ACL. So that whole kind of knee joint is fairly stable. And, you're only focusing on one thing in the recovery. So I don't think he's being rushed. I don't think it's early. It's great news. You don't want to put more expectation on him. But at the same token, if he's ready to play, he's ready to play. There's this big debate that's going on in the timeline right now that I'm noticing, at least, that people want to almost say, well, he needs to train for a month before we can see him play. And I'm sitting there thinking, if the physios are saying he's okay to play, he's okay to play. I'm really unsure.
Professional physios are saying he's fine to play, but Arsenal fan 6'3" says he needs
a month.
But Arsenal fan 6'3" knows ball. He got that one take ages ago, right? Yeah. He knows ball.
He's got it pinned as well.
He's got it pinned. You know what I mean? Yeah, he got 1,000 likes. He got it pinned. Yeah. He made it. He went viral. And look, it is a good question, though. To be fair, go on.
I don't want to belittle it, because it is a good question. Yes. It is a good question about what kind of timber we have receiving. It is a good question about us having only 2 games until the break, and then a 19-day break until the Etihad, right? There is not a lot of games for him to fit in anyways. It's Sheffield and it's Brentford, and that's it, right? So you don't have a lot of games within this month of March, and I do think, looking at it, it kind of seems to me that Arsenal has taken the approach of extra caution for a lot of these injured players. Even what he was saying about Tomiyasu himself, about how there was a little bit of a difficult recovery, but they took the decision to extend his recovery timeline a bit because they could, and they were able to. And I think all of this is good. Even his comments on Jesus, by the way, which I'm sure we'll get to, not very endorsing. He's fit, but for how long, we don't know. That seemed a little ominous in terms of the quotes. And I just think in general, Arsenal are taking this kind of approach where let's get until the break. I want a fully fit squad, and we have 10 games. It doesn't matter that there are 3 days break between games, but there is a month and a half, almost 2 months of 10-game blocks that we need everybody fit and as fit as possible. And I think that's been the goal. So on a whole, it's massively exciting. I think Jurriën Timber gives us a crazy amount of build-up versatility, an insane amount of kind of transition control in the middle of the park, and it definitely gives us a level of agility that I think we have lacked in some matches, something that ironically Jorginho has been able to give us quite a bit on the ball. But there's this kind of middle third passing that I feel has been missing. And if you're going to look at the Martinelli problems of the left-hand side this season, and you look at what Jurriën Timber offers you on the ball in terms of those areas, I start to think, is Martinelli going to have a really fun relationship back again? Is he going to start getting the ball in better areas? Are we going to start having a bit more of a passing influence down that side to connect people a bit more? Because we've seen what the right-hand side has been able to do. And I think that we've lacked a little bit more of that on-the-ball presence on the left to allow Martinelli in that side to click as well as it could. So that's something that I'm excited to see. But yeah, on a whole, you take it game by game. But I also really feel strongly that if Arsenal believe he's ready, he's ready. We don't have to caveat it with U21 appearances, with yada yada. Guys, they have machines, okay, that measure your muscle fiber and measure your functional stress at the beginning of preseason. They have it down to a Newton, how much your muscle can take. I don't think that, they're necessarily rushing them soon. I don't think that they're not taking things in. I don't think they're not looking at things medically very, very specific.
I got an NVQ in sports science from Brentford College, mate. I'm telling you.
Brentford College, that's local. Listen. I reckon. Yeah, look, he will be back unless, of course, he's got a watery eye, in which case we have to give him a bit more time. He needs to get there as well. But let's talk about where he plays, Alex, because he started off as a left back at Arsenal, and he played quite a few games there. Did he play right back in his first game? I'm pretty sure he came off the bench as right back. I
don't know about first,
and he
game,
was dribbling forward straight away. Yeah, he played a few games at right back as well. So the question then becomes, of course, at Ajax, he was a centre back. In this Arsenal team, is it for Ben White when he's fully fit? Is it for the left back, obviously, because obviously Zinchenko's not fit right now or returned, and you've got Kvyat's taking that role recently? Or could he play as a centre back if Saliba was to be rested or injured?
I think this is one of my big predictions next season. I think next season we're going to try, and I think the plan for this season was to invert on different sides and try the inversion on different sides depending on the game state, depending on how the opposition are pressing, depending on how many they've got midfield, so on and so forth. And I think it would have been something that we'd slowly see this season, that the right might go in and left might go in. I think Timber can do it on both sides. To answer who he actually comes out of the team for, I think he comes into the team for, I think it will initially be on the left-hand side. But I wouldn't be surprised to see certain games where we say, what we're building, I think, is, and Timber is kind of a perfect example of this, is, right, we have certain principles of play. We build up like this when we're being pressed like this. We try and we attract players on the right-hand side with Saka, who gets three doubled up upon, and then we try and switch it quickly over to the left-hand side. Whatever it is, all these patterns, all these principles of play that we can see and we can understand, right? Then it's about profiles and going, right, so for this game, we think we need a little bit more transition control for Timber. Or for this game, we think his carries into the midfield, we've noticed that Bruno Guimaraes jumps very soon, and we think it will create some space for Martinelli, so let's put Timber in. But in another game, whatever. So, and I know you hate me when I answer questions like that because you want a starting 11, but I do think it's that's where I think the team is going. And I think then to answer who does he come out of the team for, it does depend on the game. I think broadly it will be on the left-hand side, especially at the beginning, because I think Ben White's in terrific form. I think that relationship with Saka in such amazing form as well. I don't think you want to upset that relationship. But I think it is going to depend on a lot on the opposition. I will say I don't see him at centre-back. I don't see him taking one of the two slots as Saliba or Gabriel. I think maybe the roles change. I don't know. And maybe something, maybe if we have Kvyat at left back and Timber at left centre back and Saliba, maybe you see Timber steps forward and Kvyat becomes the third centre back. I don't know. There might be something different we haven't seen. But right now, I think partly because of his size and pace, but also because what he offers us and what the centre back role is right now at Arsenal won't show him off to his best abilities. So I think it will be one of the fullbacks, and I think initially it'll be the left hand side.
And I think the real question for Arsenal fans is what are the main attributes he's bringing back to us? Because we saw a few games in pre-season, and it's a long while ago since then. We've gone through a lot as a team. So I think let's remind Arsenal fans what Timber thrives at most. I'm pretty sure Alex has got a video on his channel. You can go back and watch anyways. We'll talk about why he's so exciting. But let's talk about, George, what is the one attribute you think that Timber will bring into this Arsenal team? Is it the ball carrying or is it the 1v1 defensive security?
I think he's got a big package in general where he's very complete.
Oh, yeah.
I think that he gives us a level of build-up flexibility that very few fullbacks do in the squad, potentially only Ben White. In terms of the amount of roles that he can fill. But the one thing that is a superpower is that turn, that half turn, that feint that he's able to do. I think he's probably one of the sharpest half turns in the squad. And his ability to kind of create space in that manner is something that very few players, I think, in the squad have. His passing is something I'm looking that the team's missing the most. I think his individual superpower is that feint and his ability to kind of operate in whatever zone, whether it's left, right, no passing angle bias, little plug for the tactical term that we did earlier. And I think for the team, though, that left-hand side is missing an aggressive passer between the lines. It's very punchy. I find that he's really weird, actually. In the first phase, I find him quite conservative with his passing. I actually rarely find him incisive or, it's always safety first in that build-up phase, which is fine. It's really good. But as soon as he enters the middle third of the pitch, he starts to get very creative. He starts to find people between the lines early and quick. And there's a level of underlapping ball carrying that I think could be very interesting within this left back role, particularly that's a little bit wider and more touchline now. With Ben inverting, it means that there's a little bit more of a stress for the left back to be touchline, but then want to arrive up through the middle of the pitch in an underlap. And that's something that Jurriën Timber has been showing at Ajax for a while. I had to put it in. I haven't said it in a while. I think that total kind of amount of on-the-ball authority is something that, look, we haven't had on the left-hand side. That's what the team, I feel, is going to miss the most. Himself, it's that turn, that half turn, that ability to turn on a sixpence. That, I think, it gives us a level of press resistance in those deep areas that is going to be really frustrating for man-to-man presses to press Arsenal with.
I think what you said about Martinelli is big as well. I think the attraction that Timber will do with certain runs and certain passes will be big for Martinelli.
Yeah.
It is really exciting to see Timber return as well, but obviously you've still got quite a few players returning. You've got Zinchenko maybe as well, and of course you've got a returning potential Gabriel Jesus. Now, here's a question I've got for you guys. With Havertz's recent form up front and the issues he's been causing, I saw a stat that, and I think in every game he started as a striker, he's created over a 0.5 XG plus expected assist. So he's always causing issues. He's always making chances for himself. When he's got that form and he scored his first goal as a striker against Newcastle, do you change it for Gabriel Jesus? Or do you let him keep that form, pick up confidence, Alex?
I'm more conservative on this. I don't like changing a winning team.
There you go.
And when people say, like not massively anyway. I think you might change one or two things, but I don't like wholesale changes to winning teams. I just don't see the point in it. I understand some other people might be slightly more ideological and say, well, we want this for Jesus and the idea of what he might be. But the reality is we've won 6 games in a row, scoring 25 goals with Havertz in the team. So I don't see why we take him out. However, it's like when people say, is Partey in your best 11? Right now, a fully fit Partey doesn't start for me at Sheffield United because the team's really functioning. However, 20 minutes into that game, I might be calling for Thomas Partey. We know that it's Arsenal and football. We know that within half an hour, a narrative can completely switch. We've completely lost it. Everything's gone. We're never going to be good again. Get Arteta out. All this stuff. We know immediately that stuff will happen. So such a short amount of time can change a narrative so quickly. So for me right now, I keep the team exactly as it is. I actually wouldn't change anything. I'd even keep Kivior in, even if Tomiyasu or Zinchenko are fit. I'd keep everything the same. But within 45 minutes, it could be that Jesus is right or Partey is right, whatever. I think what Havertz does, I think for me, I said this on a stream recently, I think the number 9 position for Havertz clarifies his actions so much. It makes it so much more obvious to me what he's doing. I think he's a lot more conservative in smaller spaces in the midfield. He just plays a simple pass. He doesn't necessarily want to carry. I think I still don't quite know why, but I still think he's very, very conservative in the middle of the pitch. But as a number 9, I think he feels more able, possibly because he's played it more before at Chelsea or whatever, I don't know, but to throw his weight around a bit more, be a bit more expansive in how he plays off the ball and in his movement, and be a much more of a facilitator, which is natural for this Arsenal team over the last sort of 18 months with that kind of Jesus profile and Saka and Martinelli being the stars. So I just think it really works for him. It clarifies what his role is a lot more, and it also helps for people from the outside looking in. When he scores and he's playing number 9, well, Havertz is a number 9. It gives him a very clearly defined role. I don't think he is a number 9. I think he just thrives in certain spaces and it works at times. But I think it gives him a very identifiable strength and role in this team, and that really suits him at the minute.
It definitely does, and I think he's definitely a very instinctive player, and up front, it's very much instinctive. But I think we need also to talk about the returning number 5, Thomas Partey, because I actually think he's back this time. I don't know if we're going to wake up to news tomorrow and it's like another hamstring injury. Uh-oh, here we go again. Or maybe it's a watery eye. You never quite know.
What's that meme? How do you stay positive? Delusion.
Yeah,
Thomas Partey's not staying fit, mate.
So it's a matter of how long he's going to be fit for. Can he give us a strong end to the season, George? Because we've got a lot of games coming up, but it's not the whole season. We've got less than half a season left. If they can stay fit for the remainder of the season, do you reckon he will break into the first team, and then that will allow Rice to play higher up the field?
Thanks for checking out the Cannon Podcast. To hear the full episode, sign up as a YouTube member on this channel or go to patreon.com/thecannonpod.